Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast, podcast number 238. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the morning of Saturday, October the 2nd, from the James Strong Studio in Western St. Charles County. A twin spin type of podcast today. Actually, two essays, a shorter one and a longer one. They have nothing to do with one another, but one was in the news and one was not in the news per se, but it's kind of a topic I like to talk about, the aging rock stars. And I've said for many, many years, if you get an opportunity to see the aging rock stars, please do. Now, I didn't listen to my own advice. The Rolling Stones were in town this week, Sunday, and I had an opportunity to get last-minute tickets, and I opted not to go. The reason I opted not to go was it was a Sunday night. I had to work next morning. We had a very busy day that day. So basically, I'm an old man, okay? So I missed the Rolling Stones. But that's not who I'm going to talk about. But there's an artist that everybody's heard of, who's underappreciated, underrecognized, whatever, Steve Winwood. And I'm going to do an essay on the Steve Winwood that you never knew. I suspect that only a handful of people listening to this podcast know all the things about Steve Winwood that I'm going to talk about in the essay. I think you'll enjoy it. If you're a fan of rock, if you're a fan of music, I know you'll enjoy this history on the Steve Winwood you never knew. Before that, those of you who went to my Facebook page and saw the photo, actually not a photo, it was a quick Tic Tac video of something coming out of the skunk works near Palmdale, California, north of LA. And this was I don't know what it was, but to me, it looked like the Tic Tac UFO. So essay number one, the Tic Tac UFO source found? Maybe, maybe not. Number two, the Steve Winwood you never knew. But before we get to the essays, a few pieces of, a few snippets that I've stumbled upon throughout the week. Jaguar update, really don't have one. I mean, it's the same. The Jaguar is still at the media blaster, behind schedule, as is everything nowadays. If in manufacturing or in anything nowadays, everything's behind schedule. Everybody's late. Nothing goes as planned. But I continue every Saturday to go and clean up new parts and fix new things and get everything ready for the day that the Jaguar comes back for reassembly. Because this is now October, it's pool shutdown time. So basically we've stopped swimming in the pool. In theory, we could still swim in the pool because it's heated. It's still getting into the upper 70s during the day, but we've got rain this weekend. By the time we get home at night, it's dark. Not dark, but the sun is not out and the leaves continue to fall. So it's becoming more of a pain than it's worth. So, you know what? We swam into late September, early October. So that's done. Baseball fans, those of you who are baseball fans and, in particular, Cardinal fans, you know about the run that they're going through. They're going to make the playoffs. Nobody thought they would. But I'm not going to talk about the Cardinals per se, but a Cardinal broadcaster. And I'm going to say something about one of the Cardinal broadcasters that absolutely, positively no one in the media has talked about. And that's Mike Shannon. Mike Shannon, who was basically, he graduated from CBC High School here in St. Louis, and he had one job his whole life. He worked for the Cardinals. That's all. He was drafted out of high school by the Cardinals, played with them, was on the World Series championship teams in 1964, 1967, played on the World Series team in 1968, retired early because of a kidney ailment, and then went to the broadcast booth. And he has been broadcasting St. Louis Cardinal games for 50 years. This is his 50th year. Now, I'm a big fan of Mike Shannon. He's provided me with countless hours of entertainment, both as a player and as a broadcaster. I mean, if you figure he's been, since I was 5 years old, Mike Shannon has been entertaining me either on the field or in the broadcast booth. Those of you that have heard his recent broadcasts, to say that he's, what's the word I want to use where I'm still kind. His best days are behind him. Okay. He's older. He nearly died of COVID-19. So he's still not back from that yet. But his broadcasting has been less than stellar. People understand that. I mean, to the point where you can't listen to the broadcast anymore on the radio because you can't understand what he's saying. The crowd starts to cheer and they drowned him out. He doesn't pronounce his words clearly. He gets stuff wrong. Even though he's a legend, he's almost unlistenable now. And this week he made a statement saying, you know what? The Cardinals are for sale. Yeah, the DeWitts are shopping the Cardinals around. And the DeWitts came back immediately and said, no, I don't know where he got that because we're really not. And either they're fantastic actors or they're right. I mean, just the shock and surprise from John Mozeliak, who's the president of baseball operations, to the owners, the DeWitts. I don't think that they're for sale. Now, why did Mike Shannon say what he said? One of two reasons, in my opinion. Reason number one, actually 3 reasons. Reason number one, he may be right, and the DeWitts don't want to admit it. Reason number 2, Mike Shannon and his daughter had a restaurant that was next to the stadium called Shannon's. Good steakhouse, fantastic place. I've been there several times. It's a good food, good atmosphere, good everything. Shannon's went broke because basically between Shannon's and the ballpark, the DeWitts built Ballpark Village. In other words, you've got to walk through Ballpark Village with all of his excitement and restaurants to get to Shannon's. Shannon's closed down. And Mike Shannon was very upset about that. So much so that rumor had it he was thinking about quitting and suing the DeWitts. That never happened, but he was upset with that. Now, did he drop this bomb just as a finger in the eye of the DeWitts? Don't know, but it's certainly a possibility. Option number 3, and the one I really don't hope is true. Mike Shannon's not all there anymore, folks. I know that's cruel, and I've heard nobody else in the media say this, but he's just not. And maybe he doesn't realize that he said it. He may have been talking about the Bushes when they were shopping the team decades ago. And by the way, were purchased by the DeWitts. So that's the deal on Mike Shannon. Nobody else has said it. Maybe I'm being ignorant in saying it, at least alluding to door number 3, where maybe he doesn't know what he said and he's not all there. But that's my take on the whole Mike Shannon thing. So take that for what you want. Not trying to be ignorant, not trying to be malicious or any hate towards Mr. Shannon at all. But I think those of you that have heard his broadcast and hear my opinion, I think you'll agree that where there's smoke, there's certainly fire. Okay, the podcast today, like I said, a twin spin, the Tic Tac UFO and the Steve Winwood You Never Knew. Let's start with the Tic Tac UFOs. I've been talking about this for quite some time, and the Tic Tac UFOs are the UFOs, UAPs, now referred to by the government as maybe this is something, okay? In fact, those government papers that came out, basically the government saying, look, we don't know what these are. They're not ours. We don't know what they are. We can't defend against them. We need to find out what's going on. And they've, I think last week or week before last, I mentioned that the Pentagon actually has a government division that's looking into this, and it's heavily funded. Okay, so they're serious about this. They really say they don't know what it is, and they need to find out. Well, I may have found out. And this may be a case where the government is not lying to us, okay? And it has to do, and again, go to my Facebook page, go to the James Strong Facebook page, and you can see where I posted this video of a very strange craft being taken from the Lockheed Skunk Works in northern LA County. In fact, the Skunk Works, what are the Skunk Works, first of all? Well, the Skunk Works, the Lockheed Skunk Works was ran by Kelly Johnson, later by Ben Rich, and they were actually ran in the Burbank airport, okay? And Kelly Johnson and Ben Rich were just geniuses, and they were they ran that place top down, okay? Whereas you had one guy in charge, he was the dictator. It went as he said. Schedules were met, budgets were met, and things got done. No unions, no committees, no opinions, no budget overruns. Just get the job done. What did these guys come up with? How about the U-2? Yeah, that was Kelly Johnson. How about the SR-71 Blackbird, which was done in the 60s, 1960s, folks, which is what, 60 years ago? Not quite 60 years ago, almost 60 years ago. And we still don't have a plane that goes faster than that, okay? And Ben Rich, who was Kelly Johnson's predecessor, he developed the F-117 Nighthawk, the first stealth plane. They call it a Nighthawk because, like a Nighthawk bird, you can't see it coming. So these Skunk Works have turned out truly revolutionary aircraft that until they were released, nobody knew what they were. And this could be one. And there was an article this week in the Daily Caller, which is, again, a reputable news source, in my opinion. The general manager of Lockheed's most secretive arm, the Skunk Works, he refused to comment this last Tuesday on a mysterious aviation technology spotted recently at a Lockheed testing facility in the Mojave Desert, just right outside of Palmdale, California, where Lockheed's headquarters are. Now, a video began making the rounds on Twitter back on September 22nd, exposing an oddly shaped, sleek aircraft being loaded onto a flatbed trailer. Now, this video was reposted by a gentleman named Ruben Hoffs, who's an aviation enthusiast, who says he stumbled upon it on TikTok. Now, Hoffs, who was intrigued with the scaffolding in the background of the video, cross-referenced it with Google Maps and figured out that, wow, this was likely filmed at the Skunk Works. They call it the Hellandine Radar Cross-Section Facility, the Hellandine RCSF. Now, the Skunk Works, which is the Military Aviation Technology Division of Lockheed Martin, formerly known as the ADP, Advanced Development Program, they developed lots and lots of top-secret military aircraft. Now, Defense One's global business editor, that's a magazine, his name is Marcus Weisgerber. He hosted a conversation with Jeff Babioni, and that's Lockheed Martin's vice president and general manager of the Skunk Works on Tuesday. In other words, he's the Kelly Johnson. He's the Ben Rich now, okay? Now, Weisgerber asked Babioni about the video of the alleged Skunk Works aircraft technology. He says, okay, Jeff, we've gotten a number of questions about this, and it was about a video last week that surfaced on Twitter of an AFA, that's a aerial rocket artillery. And it was allegedly filmed at the Lockheed facility on the back of a flatbed truck. Weisgerber said, that's what Weisgerber said. He then asked, are you able to tell us anything about what we saw? Babioni smiled and replied simply, I can't. Okay, Weisgerber pushed. He said, has your security posture changed? Babioni chuckled, took a deep breath, and responded, we're in good shape. In other words, he wasn't talking. Now, there was another reporter. His name is Steve Trimble. He writes for the Aviation Week magazine. He reported that he showed the video to Air Force General Mark Kelly. Now, Mark Kelly heads up the Air Force Combat Command. So this isn't just some bureaucrat. This is the real deal, okay? And Kelly's immediate reply was that he had no idea what it was. Now, Trimble, the reporter, wrote, then Kelly took my laptop and stared at it for about 20 seconds. And according to Trimble, Kelly's expression was somewhere between confused and impressed. So the Skunk Work guys aren't talking.